Welcome back to Breakfast Central. A group of prominent Lagos PDP leaders, including former candidates and executives, have officially defected to APC. Led by Hakeem Amode, the Lagos PDP Publicity Secretary, the defectors cite internal crisis, poor leadership, and lack of cohesion as reasons for abandoning the party. They argue that PDP has lost its way, with some members even sabotaging their own candidates during elections.
Now, this comes in as Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike also recently laid out strict conditions for supporting PDP's presidential candidate. The Minister of the FCT said the People's Democratic Party should zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the southern part of Nigeria if the party will get his support. He made this statement known while reading the communique of a PDP stakeholders meeting under the aegis of the concerned stakeholders of the PDP in Abuja on Monday. Joining us this morning to discuss this development is a PDP chieftain, Adetokunbo Pearse. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Do you think that the Minister of the FCT has a valid stance before he can throw his support behind the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate? He's asked that it be zoned to a southern representative. Do you think that he's well within his rights to do that? And do you agree with that decision?
The Minister of the FCT is just being mischievous because he has already said that he's going to work for Tinubu in the next election, and that everything he's done in the past few months has been to derail the PDP. We wanted to have our NEC meeting, National Executive Committee meeting. He locked us out of our building. So what is his interest in PDP? Except anything he says should be discredited because it is not in our interest, it is not his responsibility, he has nothing to do with PDP. So he forms a committee of people and he calls them PDP, and he's leading the committee, and he himself has said he's not working with PDP. So it makes no sense. It makes no sense. The idea that the presidency should be zoned to the south is not an issue for him or anybody. When we have our national convention in August, we are going to elect a substantive national chairman. It is on the basis, this is the way the constitution of the party works, it is on the basis of that election that the zoning of the presidency will be determined. So, if, for instance, as we expect, the chairman, national chairman is zoned to the north to complete Ayu's term, then we know. So we don't need Wike to tell us to zone it to here, zone it to there. The constitution will do what it needs to do. Once the national chairman has been zoned to the north, as we expect it to be, it is obvious that the chair of the presidency will come from the south. So it's just, Wike is just being mischievous, so he will say, yes, I told them to zone it to the south, and they zone it to the south. It has nothing to do with him.
So that means if you are certain that the national chairmanship was zoned to the north, and then
if the national chairman is elected, it's an elected position.
But are you certain that it must be someone from the north?
No. I'm not certain.
Okay.
I'm saying that constitutionally, when we have our convention in August of this year, just a couple of months, and we have our election for the substantive national chairman to replace the acting national chairman, Damagun now, if that chairmanship is zoned to the north, then it is obvious. We all expect that it will be zoned to the national chairman will be zoned to the north because Ayu's term has not been completed, and that is from the north. That's where we stand. So
that means the presidential ticket will now be zoned to the south.
Well, you see, this is the problem with the way this thing works in PDP. I personally have always said that in reality, we don't zone the presidency. Everything depends on where the national chairman comes from. The national chairmanship election will be done before the presidential. So this August now, once we have the national chairmanship election, and it is zoned to the north, if that is the case, as we expect it to be, then we know that according to the Constitution, the national, when we have the presidential convention and a candidate emerges from the north, let us say, because this is where I say we really don't zone. If you zone, you should say this election is only for southern candidates. Nobody else should contest. But we never do that in PDP. So we base the decision of where the presidential is going to come from based on the constitutional role of the national chairman.
All right, you were going to say something on if the presidential candidate comes from the north. And I'll have you clarify that, but we have to go on a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll take the rest of that explanation. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still discussing latest happenings with regards to defections in the PDP. And we're joined by PDP chieftain Adetokunbo Pearse. Thank you very much for staying with us, sir. Before we went on the break, we're talking about the national chairmanship elections coming and the presidential elections or presidential ticket elections. And you said you were about to talk about what will happen if the presidential candidate came from the north.
This is exactly what happened in 2023. We had the national convention to elect a national chairman before the presidential. And Dr. Ayu emerged as the national chairman from North Central. According to the Constitution, when we now had the presidential, and the presidential candidate came from the north, Atiku Abubakar, Ayu was supposed to resign. That is what the Constitution says. We cannot have a northerner as national chairman, that's the head of the party, and a northerner as the presidential candidate. And this is why Wike and the other four governors came together and opposed what happened. However, it was the fault of all the leaders that they had that confusion, but mainly Ayu's refusal to keep to his word and to keep to the letter of the Constitution of the party. So we really shouldn't have had any problem. According to Ayu actually is on record, video, saying that, yes, indeed, if the presidential candidate emerges from the north, he will step down. It's on record. That's what he should have done. So now, if we have the same situation, we already know what should be done. But I'm hoping that instead of just word of mouth, we should have it in writing, legal, so that there'll be no discussion at all. If a candidate from the north is elected now in August this year as the national chairman, when we go to the national convention and a northerner emerges, that national chairman must step down. It should be in writing.
And if a candidate from the south emerges in August?
If a candidate from the north, from the south emerges as
the national chairman,
then the presidency has to come from the north.
Okay.
So that if a presidential candidate now emerges from the south, the southern national chairman must step down. That's all. It was because that was not done in the last election that we had all this confusion in the party. And I say, we just need to make this whole idea very clear, very concise before we go into elections. For instance, it is not enough to say, I will step down. You have to put it in writing. And then that's the same problem we have with, what's his name now, Anyanwu. Because this whole thing was not done properly technically. That's all.
You want to explain the Anyanwu problem again?
Well, Anyanwu left his office as national secretary, went to Imo State to contest for governor. And he stayed there for months. It was almost 9 months. And he lost. And he came back. And he said he wanted to go back to his office. And the party said, no, you cannot go back to the office because you already signed a letter that you are gone. You resign. You got to resign your office before you go and contest. You can't hold two offices together. Now, he said he never signed a letter. He said he never resigned. And it is very possible that they don't really have a letter in writing. They assume that, you know, the man said, normally you know you're supposed to resign, so you resigned. Not so. This is the problem in the PDP. So if we get it clear now, let it be obvious to everybody what is going on, we shouldn't have a problem. Last election, they had confusion because they set up a 36-man committee to look at zoning. You know, I said they don't zone.
Yes.
They set up committee, the parties, they said no zoning. In other words, everybody can go and contest for president. It doesn't matter where you come from, north or south. But if you emerge and you are from the same zone as the national chairman that we've already elected, the national chairman must step down. You know, that is the agreement.
That's clear.
Isn't there a court judgment about the Sam Anyanwu situation? Because that's what the FCT minister and others who support him are relying on. They say that the party constitution as well as the Supreme Court has given verdict that backs up Samuel Anyanwu as the national secretary.
That's a bloody lie by Wike and Co. That's the lie. The court said the last thing we got from the court is that the issue of the national secretary is an internal affair of the party. That's it. And the party, all the organs of the party have decided that Udo Okoye is our new national secretary, but Anyanwu's term is gone. The BOT, the NEC, the National Working Committee, the People's Democratic Institute, everybody has, Governors Forum, everybody has said Udo Okoye is our new secretary, Anyanwu is gone. So if they still want to continue to pretend that there's something going on, it's just a matter of time again. By the time we get to the convention in August, everything will be clarified.
Talking of the convention,
Yes.
I would like us to come back to that convention conversation because the FCT minister had given clear indication before August. And some persons have said that it's looking like the FCT minister doesn't want the convention to hold if the issues he has brought before the party is not addressed. But I'd like us to circle back to that. But let's come back to Lagos where we are.
Okay.
For me, this would be my first question to you. Is there still a PDP structure? Because I want to show you a video and I'd like you to react to this. I can see you're laughing already if there's a PDP structure. Let's take a look at the video, by the way.
Structure in Lagos State, PDP structure in Lagos State from ward, state level, and align with His Excellency Jandon to become NR to APC.
The incumbent Publicity Secretary of the party of PDP, who happens to be the spokesperson of PDP in Lagos, who is authorized by law of the party and of the country Nigeria to speak for the party in the state of Lagos, has just spoken, and he has informed us that the entire structure of that party is collapsed and they have moved en masse into APC.
So, I mean, it's nice to have you here. And that video said your party has collapsed in Lagos. Is the PDP still alive? Or it's dead?
I am here, am I not?
You are. But
And,
the structures, are they with you?
Nobody has all the structure. The structure exists on its own. We have ward structure from ward chairman, youth leader, in every ward in Lagos State in place now. Every ward. Every local government is in place. We have a secretariat, state secretariat in Agege, a state chairman, secretary, public secretary, that's him. Everything is in place. So the structure is in place.
Are you sure? Have you put a call through to them since yesterday to find out if they have not moved?
No,
Because
no. You see,
they might be
I
in
know,
place. So
no.
They might be
Listen,
existing,
listen. I know what is going on.
Okay.
Don't forget, I'm an integral part of the party. The spokesperson for the party, Amode, who spoke now, is indeed the elected spokesperson for the party. But have you ever heard this man speak before for the party?
No, that's the first time I'm actually
Exactly.
get to
That
see
is
on
because since he was elected as the spokesperson, as you can see, he can't even speak English properly. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This is the problem with the party. Now, what has he done? He has never represented the party. That's why you don't know him. You never heard him speak. Because as soon as Jandor got into the party, these are people we know each other personally. You know, I mean, you can imagine that I know him very well. He knows me very well. Jandor came into the party and he became Jandor's spokesperson. He abandoned the party totally. You understand me? The party structure is in place from head to toe. Philip Ivuji is the state chairman. Soji is the state secretary. We have everybody, about 30 officers in place. So if a few of them decide they're not working with the party, they're going with a particular candidate, that is what Amode did. That's why you never heard from him all this time. Those people defecting, led by Amode now, are people who went with Jandor when Jandor was campaigning for governor and separated themselves from the party structure of the party. So what you have there is not the party structure of PDP, it is the Jandor structure within PDP that is the campaign from PDP. That's exactly what is going on.
Okay. Let me just follow up on this. It's Jandor's structure, and therefore it means that the current PDP structure is still in place, regardless of what we saw. That's the fact. Footage. That's the truth I'm telling you. And by the way, that structure that is gone now is 5%, because that's the result Jandor got in the election. That's why that is why they performed so badly, because they separated themselves from the real party structure and went on their own. If you go to Chief Bode George's house now, you find a place filled with party members. They're having meetings all over the place. So it is laughable to say Jandor, because Jandor and his people are leaving, these are the structure of the party is collapsed. Do you buy the same idea of some of your party members who view Jandor as a mole that was placed in PDP to disturb, dismantle, scatter, and ensure that the party doesn't stand right before the 2023 elections?
So he came to the party. He succeeded to some extent. That is the extent to which he succeeded. That's what you see there now. He brought people in from Lagos, for Lagos, his group of people. Unfortunately, the party leaders from Abuja made the mistake of thinking Jandor was sincere, and they allowed him to control the delegate list. So he got the list of delegates, and he used the list to elect himself and the people he wanted. At the end of it, he got 5% in the election and dragged Atiku down to get 6%, because he was supposed to be the head of the ticket in Lagos to campaign for both the president and everybody else. And he failed because And the reason he fails is exactly what you are seeing now. Abandoning, separating himself from the real structure of the party and going on his own. That his own is what you see now saying they are going to APC. He's going back to where he came from.
All right, let's move away from Jando for a bit. Since as you've talked about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, one of his strongest allies, or one of his great allies, is Otuba Showmi, who recently was seen with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They had a meeting. He's been talking about it. And recently, in an interview, he talked about the possibility. He said it's very possible, with the way things are going, that it's very possible that he can leave the PDP. He's not saying that he's leaving, for sure, but he's not pleased with how things are being done. That he had hoped, the reason he had stayed this long was that he had hoped for maybe some form of better leadership. I mean, I'm not using his words verbatim, but he had hoped that things would be different in the PDP and that there's the likelihood that it's a possibility that he might leave.
If my friend Showmi leaves the party, it will be in line with what is going on in the party now, in the nation generally, right? Governor of Delta State, it's not mass.
Okay.
Maybe key defections.
Okay, key defections.
Well, yes, some key defections. And I tell you, if you look at it closely, we are not perturbed because look at the reasons they leave. Look at where they're going. I mean, what would be your reason?
To align with the center.
Exactly. For what reason? Because the center is performing, the center is taking care of the economy, this administration is taking care of our security, this administration is performing well.
Okay, we'll come back to the reasons why they're leaving.
So, if Showmi wants to leave, let me tell you, I can take one by one. Everybody has a reason for leaving, and they cannot hide it. In the case of Showmi, he has a problem because he said a few months ago he wanted to be national chairman of the party. He was campaigning for that. The way things have been going now, it's as if he's been edged out totally. The chances are very slim. I think he's seen that now, that there's no future for him in his ambition within the party, so he's looking for another adventure.
So you don't think it's because he genuinely believes that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has some policies that are...
Well, if he believes that, he's one of the very few people who believes that. If he believes that day and night are the same, what will attract a person to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration? That the fact that he destroyed the economy of this country, the fact that there's so much hardship, the fact that the insecurity is growing every day, the fact that he is declaring state of emergency in Rivers State and Borno and Katsina and everywhere else is burning, and bandits are taking tax from people in Sokoto and Zamfara, and he's not doing anything about it, and Benue and Plateau, people are being killed every day, and he cannot declare state of emergency. This is anybody who's attracted to this administration, I wish them good luck. And by the grace of God, they will pay for their misadventure.
Okay.
So anybody who is supporting this administration is an enemy of the people, because the administration itself, its performance, has turned himself against the people entirely.
So if Otunba Showmi has declared the possibility of leaving the PDP, even though he has not categorically said that he will leave the PDP, shouldn't this be an avenue for the PDP to call him into a conversation? Because part of the criticism that has been leveled against the party is that because they have just let a number of their key figures move to the other parties without trying to have a conversation with them, to let them see ways in which they can work together for the advancement of the party, as opposed to losing them completely to the opposition.
Well, again, you take them one by one. Each person has a reason. Showmi has been talking a long time now, maybe 9 months, about his ambition within the party. I am sure he has talked to a lot of people and still in conversation with a lot of people. He may still not leave, but if he does leave, I will attribute it to his failure to achieve his ambition. The governor of Akwa Ibom, looking for re-election, and he doesn't know, almost sure he's not going to get it in PDP, now decides he's going to APC. Do you think he's going to get anything in APC? Not likely. Already, the national chairman of APC has said to Okowa and co. that they are not going to abandon their structure for you people. You see, when I say I am not, well, I don't feel perturbed by these people leaving, is when you see Okowa, he left and it appeared that, oh, our structure in Delta State is collapsed with his governor. When Okowa went to the people, they shouted him down. They told him, Okowa, we are not going with you to APC. You're on your own. So these leaders that are leaving us are living on their own. It's not like what happened even in 2015, when things were worse for the PDP. PDP cannot collapse. The roots are too deep. The way this party was formed, everywhere you go now, you hear people like Fayose saying, oh, PDP is crass, is collapsed. That is what they wish. That is their wishful thinking, because in reality, PDP is strong. This thing in Lagos is a good example. When you see these people talking, look at Amode, he can't even face the camera. He's looking on the ground like this. He's ashamed of himself. He has not been in the party. He spends most of his time abroad. After the election, he disappeared. We didn't even see him. Nobody knew where he was. And he abandoned the party long time ago. Most of them there have not had anything to do with PDP since Jandor. And when Jandor was there, and they were working with Jandor, they did not really get into PDP. In fact, they alienated PDP members to the point where Jandor could not find agents on election day. There was no presence on election day for PDP because the PDP members decided they were going to abandon that election in 2023. That's what happened. That's why Jandor scored 5%, Atiku scored 6%, because the members of the party decided that they're not going to work with these people. That's what happened.
I remember sometime in 2009, the late Burugio, Kashimu, who was a member of the PDP, he was suspended in 2009 for hobnobbing with other political parties like the APC as well. But how come the PDP hasn't been able to suspend, like the FCT minister, who is clearly, like you said, is in support with the APC and saying clearly that, listen, I'm going to support the president, although he has mentioned why suspension will be very hard for him. And I think some of the PDP members have come here to also mention why it's hard to suspend him. But with a strong opposer of the PDP, who is also a member of the PDP, who is also dictating how the PDP should work, do you think the PDP stands a chance, if at all, to even go into 2027?
If Wike had his way, we will not even have a candidate at all in 2027. But he can never have his way.
But it's starting to look like that.
What?
It's starting to look like you may not have one.
How?
Because who is Alhaji Adetokunbo Pearse is looking forward to go and form a coalition.
Is he the only person in PDP?
Okay, Peter Obi. Maybe coming
Peter
back.
Obi is not a member. Why do you have to be all these old people who were there many years ago? Why? Look, already a person like the governor for your state, Makinde, has expressed his interest in running.
Has he outrightly expressed or
He has said, thank you very much. He has said it. He's interested. And I know, I've talked to him, he's interested. If he runs and wins the primaries, he will be the next president of this country. I tell you, nothing Tinubu can do about it. If he's already got the ticket of APC without a convention. Very undemocratic, abuse of democracy. But that's the way they do their own politics. We will follow the law. We will go to a convention. Whoever wins at that convention becomes our nominee. and everybody will be behind that nominee.
So are you throwing
We
your
don't
support
need-
behind
we-
the
you say
governor?
what?
Are you throwing your support behind the governor of your state?
Personally, yes. I am actually the national chairman. I'm the convener of national support group for him. All we are doing is talking to people, telling people how good he is. We can't force anybody, but when we go to the convention, if he wins the ticket, then we know we have a very strong material, marketable anywhere in the world, at any level. So that's where we are. Now, Wike can say whatever he wants to say.
But he still
Don't
believes in
forget-
the party. I mean, in the stakeholders
say what?
meeting, that the minister of the FCT had with some members of the party, he did talk about how the party should not be allowed to die. He still believes in the People's Democratic Party, and he says that, they're going to weather this
The
storm.
bottom line is he's not working for the parties not to die. He's saying it, actions speak louder than words. This is a man who locked us out of our office building, did not want us to have our NEC meeting. In spite of him, we had it. This is a man who said the national secretary that we have expelled should be reinstated. That is what he wants. Wike is an enemy of PDP. If we have not expelled him officially, I tell you right now, Wike is not a member of PDP. He has been expelled by the court of public opinion of the PDP. He is not a member of a party because he has shown it, he has said it in so many ways. How can you, what kind of a bastard son will go and lock his father out of his building? So this is, and then he's claiming, oh, I'm the son of my father. I love my father. No, come on. He can say anything he wants to say. He says, Wike says, we should withdraw the court case we have against the president for imposing state of emergency in Rivers State. Wike said PDP governors should not support Fubara. We say, no, we support Fubara. So how can you talk about Wike and PDP? He's not a member of the party. He cannot speak for the party. He's just being mischievous. Those people he gathered together are not members of the party. All of them are former members, people who have been suspended, people who are working for APC, people who have declared their interest in not supporting PDP, and then he's saying it should be zoned to the south. He wants to cause confusion in PDP. He wants to now say, yeah, we must zone it. We are going to follow our constitution. We are going to go to the national convention. We are going to elect a national chairman, and that will determine where the presidency will come from.
But that's in August.
It is not for him.
Yeah.
That's in August.
2 months from now.
This is June. A lot can happen in 2 months. I cannot confirm, and I don't know if you can. They have started to make speculations that Chief Delo Momodu is also saying something in the line of his body is still in the PDP, but his spirit has left because he's disgruntled with the internal crisis. This was quoted by a newspaper. They referenced an interview. I haven't listened to it, so I can neither confirm nor deny this. So a lot can happen in 2 months. I'm not
And then
worried.
the rumors of Fubara as well.
Exactly, about the key members of the party and the further defections and what that might mean for the party.
My dear, nobody is a key member of any party. We've got one vote. One vote. That's all they have. We have seen what happened with Okoa. The whole former, how many years was he governor? Everything in Delta State, from state chairman to commissioner to governor to vice presidential candidate. Where is he now? He went to the people, the members of the party said, we are not with you, you are on your own. Most of the people are on their own. Some of them, the governor of Akwa Ibom, I'm not sure his wife and children would even go with him. That's how bad it is. Some of them are already saying all sorts of things about him.
We saw some of his commissioners who have withdrawn.
Oh, of course. And then I think 15 members of the National Assembly refused to go with him. These things don't, look, I'm telling you, it's not as bad as it looks. In 2015, look at what happened.
Jonathan's time as well.
Look at what they did, what happened. A whole President Obasanjo tore his party card in public Say he's no longer a member of PDP. So what happened? The PDP collapsed? No. No. We had a strong election in 2015. We lost. But we were very strong second. In 2019, the same thing. So PDP, look, if we did not have that NEC meeting on the 27th of May, I would not tell you that PDP is not in deep trouble and may collapse. Once we had that meeting, I now knew that nothing can stop PDP because the structures are so strong and they are in place. And they are speaking with one voice. On the issue of national secretary, everybody spoke with one voice. On the issue of Fubara, we spoke with one voice. On the issue of Wike, we speak with one voice. So what is the problem? You know, politics is, as Plato, I think, said it, is war by other means. So people are declaring war. I had a meeting with some young men, actually the organizing secretary, the youth leader, and another leader from Limosho yesterday, and they were telling me all these problems, but they told me that they're not worried. They say because they know that this is propaganda, that because they see something that is white, and APC would turn it into black and everything will be confused, but they can see that is. But what they told me is that we need to do more to counter the social media war that is on now against us.
Against the PDP?
Yes.
Okay, I just want us to, I mean, I think we're getting to the end of the conversation. We can't speak about, just going back to Governor Eno, we can't speak about his wife or his daughter's decision. Unfortunately, his wife is deceased, so, and we hope that her soul rests in peace. But I want us to talk, you've seen Governor Eno, he's moving. He's asked his cabinet to move as well. We've seen Governor Eno.
Yes, sure.
Yes, he's moving. He's asked his commissioners to move with him as well. We've seen the Delta State past and present governor move as well. There are those who say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a master strategist and is behind the defections, and it is political that he's been able to, in some sense, woo these people over to his side of the divide, just like they suspect that he might be wooing Otumba Segun Showunmi in the nearest future, even though Segun Showunmi has not yet confirmed if any of, I mean, he has said nothing of the sort happened. Do you think that this is their own volition, or do you think that the APC or the president, as he's referred to as a master strategist, is behind some of these defections? If
he's a master strategist, I guarantee you it is the death of swimming that killed the swimmer, the death of water. What he's doing now is political suicide. Bringing everybody on board is going to be swamped very soon because you can't satisfy all these people. And there are people who are looking for this, looking for that. He cannot do it. He's already showing signs. There's conflict already because national chairman Ganduje or Gandola, you know, these are criminals in government in Nigeria now. Many people should be in jail. But anyway, the national chairman of the party said, don't think we are going to give you our structure. So there's a problem already. All these people deflecting, you know, telling his people to go with him, but most of them are not going with him. And the people, more importantly, the masses, the members of the party are saying they are not going with him. That is the most important thing. The same thing happened to Okowa. The Okowa video was very dramatic. He's going to tell his people, they're shouting him down. So, therefore, PDP is alive and well. Some leaders may go, Dele Momodu, anybody can leave.
I mean, Dele Momodu has not yet confirmed his leaving.
No. Anybody who wants to leave. I think I like the way Governor Seraki put it, that it's best for these people to leave now, so we know who is who. So we don't have double agents within. It's easier to destroy us from within. So when they have left, same thing with Jando and Co. These people are just political scavengers who are just hanging around PDP and they're not doing anything really. And they are claiming to be PDP. So now that they have left, it's better. So we know who is left so we can work together in unity and forge forward, get ready for 2027 to save Nigeria and Nigerians from suffering and death that has been brought about to us by this administration under Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay. I think my final question would be June 12th, tomorrow, Nigeria's democracy. If you could tell a story of Nigeria's democracy, what would that story be?
Well, unfortunately, we are seeing the dismantling, the dismemberment of democracy like we've never seen it before under this administration. You know, in 1999, we came back to democracy, and unfortunately, we started with a former military president. That was an error. Because part of the problem in PDP now is this issue of a presidential candidate thinking he owns the party, whereas the national chairman should be the leader of the party. So we've had the military interfering in so-called civilian administration. Unfortunately, some military men are even more democratic than these politicians. Because what we have seen now with Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the death of democracy in Nigeria. Intolerance, self-centeredness. Everything is about one-party system. He is a man who is fighting for one-party system. He has said that this is the best party, the best structure is a one-party system. So that is an enemy of democracy. That's where we are today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I think on the final note, Funsho Dorothy, PDP, Lagos State, high hopes or fears?
Well, Dorothy has come into PDP. I was one of the people that encouraged him to come. We are having other people come into PDP. They will come and contest. If they want to contest for governor, sure. If they win the primaries, we're all behind them. But we don't bring people into PDP. That's the mistake a lot of people made with, they made it with Agbaje, they made it with Jando. I don't do that. And I told them during that period, it's wrong. You don't bring the people in, let them come and contest. And Duarte has done something now that is so good. You know, he came into the party almost a year now. So that he's giving himself time to know the structure of the party, to understand how things work, for people to know him, members of the party. Then they decide when they have the Congress to support him. Not come 6 months before with very funny, questionable credentials, as we've seen in the past. You know? So I think that we have a very good material for governor in that particular individual, Funsho Duarte.
Very interesting and insightful conversation we've had with you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. You know, it's always a pleasure.